Hello, my name is Dr. Stacy Jones, and this is the first podcast and the first YouTube video of our series that we're calling Growing Calm and Connection. And so let me introduce myself a little bit to you. Like I said, my name is Dr. Stacy Jones. I am a marriage and family therapist, a neuroplasticity researcher, and a technology innovator that has created a stress management wearable that calms the brain on the go. And our whole goal of this podcast is to help you learn how to grow calm and connection in your life. I have found that there are a lot of disconnected spaces in our lives. I'm not sure about you, but for me, it's not so much about being around people or knowing about them. It's about, do I actually feel connected to them? And do they feel connected to me? And I have found in my work as a therapist that the answer to that question for so many of us is no. We don't feel connected. We don't feel connected to those that we're even physically around, nor do they often feel connected to us. And there's a lot of myths about what helps connection and what helps with calm in our lives. And that's what this podcast is so about. So I'm so excited to be with you right now as we're discussing this and to do this as an ongoing conversation with you about how to grow calm and connection in your life. And so, as you can tell, I'm quite passionate about this, but I truly believe that there are two critical needs that we have in our lives. And this is across the board for anybody alive, is that they need calm and connection in their life in order to grow and not even just thrive, but even survive. You know, one thing that I've found in the work that I've done with people is that we will risk life and limb to get these two things. We will, to try to get our bodies to a sense of calm, we'll do some pretty harmful things. And to get to a sense of connection, we will risk almost anything. I've seen people walk away from food, shelter, any type of stability in their life, just to try to get a sense of real, authentic, genuine connection with somebody. And so we're going to talk about some easier ways to get those things in our lives, easier ways to create a sense of calm, easier ways to create a sense of connection, and doing that in a way that grows your capacity to do that neurologically in your brain and interpersonally in your life. So the first thing that I want to talk to you a little bit about is our company called BrainSculpt. So BrainSculpt, like I said before, is a stress management wearable that calms the brain. And we really want to see it as a support to the mental health treatment process. One thing that's really tricky about therapy is that it's 1 hour a week. And that's one thing that's always been hard for me as a therapist is I only get to talk to them for 1 hour a week. And there's 168 hours in a week. So an hour is like a little blip. You know, to a neuroplastic brain that's always changing based off of experiences. You know, thoughts don't change the brain very much. They can, but experiences change them more. And if you want to use a thought to change your brain, you've got to make it into an experience first. And we're going to talk all about the neuroplasticity of all of that. But anyway, I just say that to help you see that our goal as a company is to really help support the mental health treatment process, or anyone, even if you're not in therapy, just supporting anyone in trying to grow calm and connection in their lives. And by doing that all day long, not just for 1 hour a week. And so we've got two different branches of our company. We've got what's called BrainSculpt Tech, which is our technology, which is the stress management wearable, as well as meditations that are synced with our technology to enhance a sense of calm. So let me explain a little bit about the technology. So you can see that there's these two little pulsars. And so what they are, they're not very big. And you just wear one on each side of the body. And what it does is it creates this little soft, comfortable vibration on each side of the body that really helps calm the brain. It's been researched for 20 years by lots of independent people. And so we know it's called tactile bilateral stimulation. We know that it works. We know that it calms the brain down. And what we've done is created it into the form of a wearable. It was something that was traditionally used in therapy only available in therapy offices. And what we did is we created it into the form of a wearable that anybody can utilize at any time and that you can use in real-time situations. And that part's really important. We'll talk a little bit about why it's so important that you have a tool that calms your brain while you're doing the things that stress you out. Taking a break from it to meditate, taking a break from it to calm down. The break part actually creates a problem in terms of trying to rewire it in your brain. To really change the way that your brain is responding to things, you have to change it in real time as you're doing the things that stress you out. And so the ability to wear something that calms you down while you're having that hard conversation, while you're doing that really difficult thing at the same time, that's where rewiring really occurs. And later on the podcast, we'll go into all about the neurophysiology of that and why that real time is so essential. But that's in essence what our wearable is it calms you down on the go, so you don't have to take a break. And so it can actually help rewire some things for you that basic meditation, traditional types of therapy honestly can't do. And it also has another component where there's specific meditations linked with the bilateral. So that way, in addition to decreasing your stress while you're doing the things that you are doing, if you need to take an additional break on top of that and do some meditation, we've got some neuroscience-based meditations synced with the bilateral to further enhance that sense of calm. And we'll go about that, we'll talk about that in just a moment. So anyway, that's the BrainSculpt tech aspect of our company. The other part is BrainSculpt Connect. And this is all about how you can use calm to create connection. To be honest, that's the most important thing, I think, that I hope people do with the sense of calm that we help them gain, is that they use it to build connection in their lives with those that are physically around them, with those that they've got any type of influence or proximity to, that they use that calm to create connection, because we need that connection so badly. Honestly, I think in so many ways we're starving for it. And so we really want to help support people who know how to do that. And that's what these videos are going to be about. This podcast, we'll be doing webinars. That's all free. You don't have to use our product to be able to do it. We just want, if you are using a product, our BrainSculpt technology, we want to kind of give you additional things that you can do besides just being calm. So that's kind of what our goal is that we want to be able to help you grow both in your life. And so one of the things that's really tricky, like I talked about before with therapy, is that there's so little time. We have just 1 hour, which is nothing. Honestly, that is nothing, especially when there's 160 hours, 8 hours in a week. And to an anxious brain or a stressed brain, it continues to be stressed about those things when we're sleeping. All day long, honestly, it's stressed about those things for the large majority of us. And so part of the purpose of this podcast and of this YouTube channel is to provide additional support. If you're going to therapy, even if you're not using our product, there's a ton of stuff your therapist is going to want to go over with you that they're not going to have time to do. I'm just going to tell you that from experience. You cannot get what you need in just 1 hour a week. And I know almost every therapist that I know would agree with that. There's just so much to do, so little time. So that's the goal of this podcast and this webinar or this YouTube series is to fill in those gaps, to teach you all the stuff that your therapist is not going to be able to have time to do. So that's the first focus of it. The second is that, time is really essential in healing. And it's not so much in the way that we've traditionally perceived it. There's all those things about how things heal in time. Well, they do, but not in the passing of time. Things heal as things are rewired in real time. That's how change happens, in the moment. And that's what we're all about. That's what we want to be, in the moment with you. And so, and research backs this up, it's not about what you do in therapy, it's actually what you do outside of therapy, as directed by what occurs in therapy, that actually predicts treatment success. So I often compare therapy to a football game. And in a football game, you've got the huddle and you've got the play. In the huddle, you're talking about the techniques, what are you going to do and what happened last time and what's going to be our plan this next time. And you're talking about either what just happened or what's just about to happen, but none of it's actually happening. That's typically what occurs in the therapy room, is you're talking about stuff that has happened in the past or stuff that you think is going to happen in the present or in the future, but none of that is actually happening in that moment. There's a gap there, and that's the gap we want to fill. And again, research has said that it's what happens outside of therapy. What are you doing at home, at school, at work, with your kids, with your family? What's happening in all those other spaces in between is what you do outside of the therapy room that actually predicts treatment success. And so that's why we want to infuse your capacity to have these core critical needs met of calm and connection as much as possible throughout the day in real time, so that you can start making real change. One thing that's going to be critical for anything that you're going through is knowing how to calm down that fight or flight response. The reality is that it's at the core of every challenge that you face. There is not a challenge that you face that fight or flight is not at the core of. Chronic pain, ADD, divorce, addiction, trauma, medical challenges, parenting challenges, relational challenges. There is not a challenge that you are facing that doesn't have calm and connection at the heart. Does not have the fight or flight response at the core of it. And so that's why that's our first goal, is to help you know how to calm down that fight or flight response, again, in real time, not necessarily stopping the stress, but knowing how to calm your body down in the presence of it. That is core to change. And it's also core to knowing how to craft the strategies around what you need to be doing. So again, if you're trying to figure out how to manage a problem and calming down the fight or flight response is not a part of what you're trying to figure out, then there's a big piece that's missing. And again, that's the resource, that's the tool, that's the support that we want to be focused on for you. Life comes in waves. It's not like there's this nice little predictable pattern of things. The only pattern is that it's going to come in waves, and it's going to come in random waves. We have so many curveballs thrown our way. And even in terms of the fight or flight response itself, it comes in a wave. And so that's what we want to be there in the waves with you in real time, not, thinking about the last wave or trying to prepare for the next wave. We want to be in the wave with you, in that wave of stress, of emotions, of conflict, of tension. That's exactly where we want to be. Let's talk a little bit about BrainSculpt Mind Spa. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but we'll talk about it in another podcast. But in essence, there's a neuroscience of helping your brain learn to digest positive experiences. There's something that's called the negativity bias of the brain. And that's our tendency, and this is biologically the case for everybody. It's just part of how our brain is developed, is that we tend to hold on to negative experiences and let the positive ones kind of float by us. In a lot of ways, and we'll talk later about the neurophysiology of this, our brain doesn't digest those positive experiences. It doesn't actually get absorbed by the brain. And because that doesn't happen, it doesn't really change your brain. The positive experiences don't change your brain as much as the negative ones do. And that's what BrainSculpt Mind Spa is all about, is helping to change that, to balance that out. And so it's based again off of neuroscience techniques that verifies specific techniques help your brain absorb positive experiences. And so it's got these specific meditations that are synced with the tactile bilateral stimulation, because there's been research that has verified that tactile bilateral stimulation enhances your brain's capacity to recall positive experiences and make those experiences more vivid in your mind. And so BrainSculpt Mind Spa has meditations for all of these different stress types in your life. So physical health, emotional health, social health, occupational health, and then environmental, which is, our capacity to really connect with nature and with our community and our environment. And so that's what MindSpa is. And like I said, we'll go into the neurophysiology of why those meditations are important, but it's a different type of meditation. It's the only one on the market that syncs meditation with bilateral to intensify the effect. So again, we're just so excited to be on this journey with you to enhance this sense of calm and connection. Every podcast, every YouTube video will have a different focus in terms of the skills that we're trying to teach. But again, the technology is there to be there in the ins and outs of your life. The 2 a.m, when no one else is available, that's when we want to be there. So I hope that you'll follow us and help us be a part of this journey for you.